Natasha Busst, and this is Nightline. The top stories. CPTPP to expand Malaysia-UK trade opportunities, says Prime Minister. And Netanyahu delays cabinet vote on Israel-Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has held up the cabinet vote on the ceasefire deal achieved with Hamas on Thursday, accusing the latter of reneging on some details of the Truce deal, holding up its approval by the Israeli government. However, in a post on Telegram, a Hamas official said the group is committed to the ceasefire agreement in Gaza as outlined by mediators Qatar and the United States. It is still unclear what impact the latest delay will have on the deal. If successful, the ceasefire will halt fighting that has raised much of heavily urbanized Gaza and displaced most of the tiny enclave's pre-war population of 2.3 million. That in turn could diffuse tensions across the wider Middle East, where the war has stoked conflict in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, in Lebanon, Syria, Yemen and Iraq, and raise fears of all-out war between arch-regional foes, Israel and Iran. Earlier in a major breakthrough in the Gaza war, Israel and Hamas achieved a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal after intensive mediation efforts by Qatar, Egypt and the United States. Announced on Wednesday in Doha, Qatar, the Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim Al Thani said the agreement includes an initial 42-day phase during which more than 15 months of fighting in Gaza will halt. The Zionist military will also withdraw from populated areas to the outskirts of Gaza, allowing displaced Palestinians to return to their residence in the Gaza Strip. Humanitarian aid will flow in, with 600 trucks entering Gaza daily, including 50 carrying much-needed fuel to restore electricity in the territory. Implementation of the agreement is set to begin on Sunday, January 19th, with Hamas releasing 33 hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners during the first phase. Details of subsequent phases will be revealed later. In a joint statement issued by Qatar, Egypt and the United States, the three mediators affirmed their role as guarantors of the ceasefire deal, saying they would help ensure that all three stages of the ceasefire will be fully implemented by both parties. People in Khan Yunis were breathing a glimpse of fresh air on Thursday, one day after a ceasefire and hostage release deal was announced. A sense of joy was spreading over the southern Gaza city on the backdrop of gloomy streets filled with rubble.
والله انبسطت كثير. فرحة عالمية يعني فرحة فيش فيها. اللي ضخ واللي زغرت واللي والله فرحة كبيرة. والله كيفنا.
But some Palestinians said people should still be cautious in the coming days.
الليلة كانت الأجواء يعني أجواء فرح والكل مبسوط وسرور. والكل كان يتمنى هذه الأجواء من سنة تقريبا. فهذه الثلاث أيام لازم الإنسان يأخذ احتياطاته لأنه العدو طبعا ما بتأمنش له.
Now, despite the ceasefire and hostage release deal, celebrations in Gaza were quickly tempered with after Israeli forces killed at least 82 people on Thursday, just hours after the deal was announced to bring an end to the 15 months of war. At least 73 Palestinians, including 20 children and 25 women, have been killed and more than 230 injured in Zionist attacks across Gaza, with about 61 of those killings occurring in Gaza City. Elsewhere, one attack on a house near the Engineers Union building killed at least 18 people, while another 5 people were killed in an Israeli drone strike that targeted a gathering of people in the Karaj area in the Bureij camp. Meanwhile, leaders around the world have welcomed the news that Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire deal after 15 months of bloodshed in Gaza and have urged both sides to seize the moment to bring an end to the conflict and the accompanying humanitarian crisis. In a statement from the White House, U.S. President Joe Biden said the ceasefire and hostage deal will end the fighting in Gaza and surge humanitarian aid to Palestinian civilians. Meanwhile, United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres said he welcomed news of the agreement and thanked the U.S., Qatar and Egypt for their efforts in mediating talks. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, also hailed news of the deal as German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer were among the other leaders to comment on the ceasefire. Malaysia, meanwhile, has welcomed the announcement of the ceasefire but stressed that much more needs to be done for the people of Gaza. According to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, the ceasefire was a critical step, providing much needed relief for the people of Gaza who have endured such immense suffering, and also called for justice for the loss of lives.
Penting ialah perdamaian, hentikan serangan berterusan yang menyebabkan kemusnahan pembunuhan rakyat dan kemusnahan harta benda. Dan kita mengharapkan hari ini dapat diteruskan dan kita akan lakukan apa sahaja yang perlu.
He recorded appreciation on the efforts of Egypt, Qatar and the United States in working for the ceasefire. Also appreciated is the role of US President-elect Donald Trump. Anwar said he and Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba agreed to speed up the redevelopment of Gaza.
Dan Perdana Menteri Ishiba minta kita jadi pengurusi bersama Jepun dan Malaysia untuk Asia Timur, untuk mencari dana dan mencari kaedah untuk membantu segera. Jadi saya akan menghubungi Perdana Menteri Ishiba hari ini juga untuk menyatakan bahawa jawatankuasa itu harus segera bertemu untuk mencari jalan kaedah membantu Gaza.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister, who is on a 5-day working visit to the United Kingdom, said the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, will be a critical vehicle to expand and facilitate investment and trade between Malaysia and the UK. The Prime Minister said this when speaking at the launch of the YTL Group's Brabazon new town development in Bristol, the largest city in the southwest of England. Anwar also expressed his appreciation to the UK Premier for successfully entering the CPTPP agreement.
It takes the serious political commitment on the part of the UK and Malaysia, focusing of course on economic fundamentals and the interests of both nations, to promote free trade and investments.
Malaysia ratified the CPTPP in October 2024, joining Peru, Japan, Singapore, Chile, New Zealand and Vietnam, while the UK formally joined last December. Under this framework, tariffs for products by member countries will be reduced to zero. Anwar said that by participating in overseas ventures, Malaysian businesses could deepen their global market ties. This contributes to Malaysia's aspirations of expanding its trade footprint through international frameworks like the CPTPP. Now, Anwar stated that Malaysia, as the ASEAN chairman in 2025, is committed to fostering closer integration within the bloc and deepening trade, economic and energy integration both regionally and globally. He cited Johor Singapore Special Economic Zone, JSS, as a prime example. Speaking at the Invest Malaysia program in London on Thursday morning, Anwar said Malaysia would also ensure that ASEAN remains a neutral platform for dialogue and cooperation in the Asia-Pacific. In his speech, he continued to laud the UK accession to the CPTPP, which unlocks access to key markets for Malaysia exports such as palm oil and timber. He added that Malaysia is also eager to explore partnerships with other economies in the global south, including BRICS nations, to open new channels of commerce. Earlier, Anwar also held a round-table meeting with industry players and institutional investors involved in various fields such as wealth management, investment and sovereign wealth fund. Malaysia has been appointed as co-chair alongside the UK for the Forest, Agriculture and Commodity Trade FACT Dialogue starting this year until 2027. Plantation and Commodities Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said this is a recognition of Malaysia's success in advancing the sustainability agenda in commodity production globally. The appointment was announced by Johari after a meeting with the UK's Climate Minister, Kerry McCarthy, in London, who also praised Malaysia's commitment to developing various sustainability initiatives in the commodity sector.
Jadi feedback yang saya dapat bahawa the Minister of Climate ni juga melihat kesungguhan Malaysia dan dia juga nak menggunakan Malaysia ni sebagai a good example kepada other producing countries yang masih belum subscribe to the idea of kemampanan ini.
For the record, the FACT Dialogue was launched during the 26th United Nations UN Climate Change Conference, COP26, in Glasgow, Scotland in 2021. It set out 4 key priorities, including market access, support for smallholders, as well as traceability and transparency. This also included the importance of research and development alongside new innovations in the commodity industry.
Kita mempunyai Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil. Kalau UK boleh terima kita punya certification, dan juga sudah tentu di negara-negara Eropah lain dia kata terima hakikat bahawa kita punya MSPO ini adalah merupakan satu standard yang boleh digunakan pakai untuk menjaga kemampanan sesebuah negara dari segi pengeluaran komoditi.
The FACT Dialogue involves 28 countries, including 16 commodity-producing nations, such as those producing palm oil, rubber, cocoa, and timber. Additionally, 12 countries that are major importers of these commodities are also involved. The Vision Correction Program will be expanded to include Year 1 pupils from the B40 and M40 categories nationwide. This initiative includes the provision of free glasses in an effort to improve vision health among school children. The refractive screening and vision correction sponsorship program for Year 1 pupils from the B40 and M40 households took place in Putrajaya on Thursday morning. It was jointly organized by the Education Ministry and Health Ministry and involved comprehensive refractive screenings at 16 schools across Putrajaya.
Sebelum ini kita hanya dapat program pemberian kacamata saja, tetapi hari ini ada pengkhususan yang sebenarnya itulah penyelesaian kepada masalah pembelajaran anak-anak ini yang mesti kita ambil perhatian. Jadi insya-Allah program ini akan kita peluaskan dan ini komitmen kita bersama insya-Allah.
Kerana mereka akan tergendala dari sudut dalam pembelajaran dan pengajaran ya. So jadi itu sangat mustahak ya untuk ditangani segera.
The program, which began in August 2024, focuses on a specialized solution to address the learning challenges faced by school children. Of the 2,000 children screened in Putrajaya, 3.5% were found to have vision problems. The initiative aims to increase the detection rate to at least 5% of the total number of students examined. Former individuals, including a former mayor in Sarawak, have been arrested under Op Ragada in connection with a money laundering and criminal breach of trust (CBT) case involving a senior executive of a television station based in the state. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said the 4 suspects, including 2 women aged between 53 and 71, were detained by Bukit Aman's Anti-Money Laundering Criminal Investigation Unit in Kuching on Wednesday and Thursday. Investigators also seized 32 documents at a company in the city. 2 of the suspects, a former senior official of a media company in Sarawak and a director of a supply company nabbed on Wednesday, have been remanded for 2 days beginning Thursday. Both suspects will be brought to Kuala Lumpur on Friday to assist investigations into the case. Police will also seek a remand order on the 2 other suspects. On Friday, the TV station's top management officer and 4 of his family members, aged between 26 and 65, were detained in Sarawak and Pulau Pinang. Their arrests followed reports of suspicious cash flows in several bank accounts from 2017 until September of last year. In Johor, 4 individuals, including a woman, were brought before 2 separate magistrates' courts in Johor Bahru on Thursday to face charges of trafficking and possessing nearly 100 kilograms of drugs valued at 13 million ringgit earlier this month. The charges were framed under the Dangerous Drugs Act, which provides for the death penalty for life imprisonment, along with no fewer than 15 strokes of the cane if not sentenced to death upon conviction. All 4 accused, Kok Yan Chen, Ng Wei Lun, Lynette Goh Sok Fung, and Lim Jia Chun, aged 25 to 30, only nodded to indicate their understanding when the drug trafficking charge was read before Magistrate A. Sharmini. No pleas were recorded as the case is under the jurisdiction of the High Court. According to the charge sheet, they allegedly committed the offence by jointly trafficking MDMA weighing about 93.6 kilograms at a house in Taman Koto Jahaya Putri at about 12:30 a.m. on January 5th. In another magistrate's court, all 4 accused pleaded not guilty before Magistrate Muhammad Fitri Mokhtar to 2 counts of possessing ketamine weighing over 20 kilograms and 2.9 kilograms of nimidazepam at the same place, date and time. Both courts denied bail to all the accused and set March 17th for case remention. Malaysia's gross domestic product GDP growth is projected to remain resilient at 4.5% in 2025 compared to 5.2% in 2024, driven by strong export performance and sustained domestic demand. OCBC senior ASEAN economist Lavanya Venkateswaran stated that on the external front, despite monthly fluctuations, export growth has remained resilient, bolstered by a bottoming in the global electronics export down cycle. On domestic demand, household spending remains strong, driven by rising wages and a resilient labor market. Investment spending is also supported by medium-term reform plans, which are crowding in private sector investment. The trade surplus will start to stabilize in 2025, barring shocks from the United States tariffs and trade policies. She said the normalizing trade surplus, combined with still strong tourist arrivals, suggests that the current account surplus will be sustained. Britain's economic growth rebounded less than expected in November, dealing a fresh blow to a Labour government that is battling headwinds. According to data from the Office for National Statistics (ONS) on Thursday, gross domestic product (GDP) expanded 0.1% in the month after GDP contracted 0.1% in October. Analysts' consensus forecast had been for growth of 0.2% in November. The ONS described the economy as being broadly flat and stated that the rise announced on Thursday shows the economy growing only slightly. The data offsets a slight reprieve for Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his Finance Minister Rachel Reeves on Wednesday, when official data revealed an unexpected fall in UK inflation in December. Joe Biden capped a half-century political career with a final Oval Office speech as he hopes to seal a legacy overshadowed by Democrats' failure to stop Donald Trump from returning to the White House. Biden opened his speech with a familiar message, asking Americans to join together, but quickly warned about a dangerous concentration of wealth in the United States.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous concentration, and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
The president also outlined some of his most pressing concerns, including what he described as a crumbling free press, the outsized influence of the military-industrial complex, rising disinformation, and the need to remove dark money from politics. Biden also called for constitutional amendments to ensure presidential accountability, arguing that no president should be immune from prosecution for crimes committed while in office. Still in the U.S., most of Southern California is set for several days reprieve from the hot, dry winds, fanning the wildfires that have burned some 40,000 acres of land and killed more than 20 people. Red flag warnings expired on Wednesday evening in most places, including the largest Palisades fire zone. However, the National Weather Service is warning that gusty winds will linger in the mountains into Thursday, and Santa Ana winds will return across the region early next week. Officials said there is a high likelihood of critical fire conditions developing sometime next week, stressing how the combination of dry weather and wind may risk starting new fires or fanning existing ones. Fortunately, they said that cooler temperatures over the weekend may help firefighters make some good headway as they battle the blazes. South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol refused to appear for fresh questioning by investigators on Thursday, a day after his dramatic arrest over a failed martial law declaration. The Constitutional Court also opened its second hearing in a trial that will decide whether to uphold Yoon's impeachment. However, while investigators from the Corruption Investigation Office were set to resume Yoon's questioning Thursday afternoon, the president's team told them he would not attend. Yoon's lawyer confirmed that the embattled leader would not attend without specifying the reason, but hinted towards health reasons. Meanwhile, officials are trying to secure a new warrant that could hold him for longer than 48 hours. If investigators are successful, they are expected to be given a 20-day extension to the leader's detention to allow time to formalize an indictment against him. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as locals and tourists in India's southern Tamil Nadu state gathered at an international hot air balloon festival where hot air balloons of different shapes and sizes took the skies. With that, I'm Natasha. Thank you for watching and stay safe.